on this set about an hour from now. Right now, we're joined by Congressman Bill Johnson. Now, he's a member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, very much involved in the pipeline discussion. All right, Congressman, Daryl Hannah says the pipeline will create only 35 permanent jobs, and the oil won't end up with us anyway. What would you say to her?
Well, I'd say she's very wrong, Stuart. I mean, if you look at what the experts have said, even the labor organizations have said, we're talking about thousands of jobs, both temporary jobs and permanent jobs in the long run. But it's amazing to me that someone like Daryl Hannah, who knows very little of what she's actually talking about, would have such a loud voice on this issue. You know, the president's former Secretary of Energy said it himself, that the Keystone XL pipeline would be a political decision, not a scientific one. This is politics at its worst here.
We hear it. All right, let's move on to Putin, Russia's Putin. Congressman, why don't we in America approve the export of liquefied natural gas? Because that would give us a great deal of leverage on energy over Putin.
Absolutely. And Stuart, this is just another example of how our president does not understand that having a strong domestic economy, a strong domestic energy policy translates into leverage on the geopolitical scale internationally, because we could reduce Russia's revenues from the exporting of their own liquid natural gas by simply getting into the market. We could reduce that by 30%. And keep in mind that 50% of Russia's tax base comes from the sale of oil and natural gas to many of our friends and allies in Western Europe.
But Congressman, why? The president obviously knows this. He knows that if we exported LNG big time to Europe, we get leverage over Putin. I mean, he knows this. Why does he keep denying? I think there are, is it 23 permits that are on the table at the moment for the export of liquefied natural gas, and they're being held up? The president knows what's going on. Why does he hold it up?
Well, I can only surmise, Stuart, that he's pandering to his environmental liberals on the left.
But there's not that many voters. I mean, that's not a huge chunk of voters come November. Now, is it, sir?
Well, I don't know what they're giving him or what they're doing to twist his arm, but I can tell you that I've talked to Secretary Moniz about this twice. Secretary Moniz has committed to expeditiously moving these export permits forward. He and I have a very different definition of expeditiously because they're not moving at all.
Right.
And I'm concerned about a potential deal that has been struck by the Senate, because, you know, Senator Stabenow, who is very much opposed to liquid natural gas exports, suddenly she's in favor of the administration's timeline. And remember that the Senate was holding up a nominee for the Department of Energy. So I'm concerned about some, you know, what kind of under-the-table deals have been struck here. We need to do what's right for America and do what's right for our foreign policy.
Yes, sir.
Let's approve these export permits.
Yes, sir. Congressman Bill Johnson, Republican, Ohio. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Stuart.